investments in associates. This is the continuation of our previous video, which is equity securities. So let's say we have two parties right here, the investor and the investee. And the investee sold his shares for cash from the investor. So this time, there will be possibility that the amount of cash paid by the investor is higher than the amount of the shares of the investee. By that, we would recognize goodwill. Sometimes it is because of the undervaluation of the assets of the investee. If it is based on the depreciable asset, then we would amortize the excess based on the useful life of the asset. If it is because of the land, then it would never be amortized. Sometimes it's because of the inventory or other current assets. By that, we would recognize the expense immediately. Sometimes it's the complete opposite. The amount of shares is higher than the amount of cash paid by the investor. By that, we would recognize gain or retained earnings. There would also be times that the carrying amount would be higher than the recoverable amount. So recoverable amount would be the amount that you would receive at the end of the period. By that, we must recognize impairment losses. So specifically, recoverable amount is the higher between fair value less cost of disposal and value in use. So just in case you don't know what value in use is, it's basically just the same as present value. Sometimes the investee also own a cumulative preference shares. If that's the case, what he would receive is the amount of earnings less the preferred dividends. Not ordinary dividend, but preferred dividend. There are also times that the loss of the investee and the investor would be higher than the gain. So if that's the case, we would never recognize investment in associate, only the deposits that were made by the investor. Alright? So let's say you have an asset, let's say it's a building and it serves as a security for your loan payable, which means it is pledged for loan payable, then we would not recognize that asset as an investment in associate. So again, I'm going to repeat it to you. If the carrying amount is higher than the recoverable amount, then we would recognize impairment loss. So where does the impairment loss charged? First, it would be charged to goodwill, full amount of goodwill. If the goodwill is already amortized, then it would be charged to other assets proportionate to the amount of balances. So the next question would be, are there times that the equity method would not be used? Well, the answer would be yes. There are some instances. Let's say you are the investor and from an associate, and there's another company which is the parent and you are the subsidiary. By that, we would not use equity method. Sometimes you have debt and equity instrument and it failed to be recognized in the market. We would also not use equity method if that's the case. Also, let's say you are an auditor and you failed to file for the Securities of Exchange Commission. By that, equity method is not applicable. Sometimes the parent of your company is exposed for public use. Its financial statements is for public use. By that, you are also affected, which means that your FS is used for public use also. So, that's it for today, Accountaholics, and I'll see you on the next video.